I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
It's Sparky. This is Disposition.
Ready?
So that's the famous triad. It's the disposition reflection triad, is what they call it. I'm pretty sure. I hope I get it right so that the Till fans don't murder me. So they end this like classic record with that instrumental called Triad. What do you think is the point of that? Like where do you think they were going? What are they trying to accomplish?
Well, tri is 3. So maybe it's the parts of a person is body, soul, spirit. I don't know. So maybe there's a part for each. I don't know.
Yeah, that's where. Well, one, it's the third in the triad because it's the.
I should have been focusing on what I thought the music was trying to say.
What were you focusing on?
The different sounds within the music, the drums. Like there was one part where I don't know. I think it was the guitar, but I couldn't tell if he was double strumming it or if it was one that went out and sounded like so. Because like I was like I would tell myself it's 2 strums and I could hear 2, and then I would say no, it's only 1, and I could hear 1. Like it just depended on.
So you were overthinking and overanalyzing.
Yeah, I guess so. I was just thinking about all the different the drums.
You're
and
missing out on the
Yep,
opportunity.
I did. Yep. Yeah. Totally lost the opportunity.
Complete.
Well, what did you get from your experience?
Sorry. It's so. The dichotomy between us is so interesting because I'm just generally an analytical person. Mm-hmm. But I don't analyze everything in the moment. Like when I'm in the moment, I just experience the moment. And,
no, not always.
and
There's
live
been
it in the
some
moment.
songs where you were like,
no, with the song, but that's the thing. Like with a song, I can do. I'm in. I'm zeroed in. Look at the lyrics. I'm looking at how especially with this record, I'm like, how does this line relate to this line in the previous song that we listened, 20 minutes ago? You know what I mean? But like, just like experiencing life, I don't like overanalyze.
no,
it.
you don't.
Yeah, just
And I
kinda,
do.
But it's weird because when we listen to music, I'm extremely analytical, and you're more like I'm just gonna feel it. But in life, it's just weird. Like I think people watching us would be like, "Oh, Sori's just an in the moment free spirit,"
No,
whatever.
I used to be, not anymore.
And then like they're like,
dead.
"Oh, that Vin guy, he's fucking God. He must be a fucking guy that just boring and inside the box and all that craziness." Yeah, what I got from Triad. So it was disposition, reflection, and then the last song was triad, and it's a triad. Mm-hmm. So I think on the one hand,
What do you mean it's a triad? What's a triad?
Disposition, it's 3.
Oh.
So disposition, reflection, and triad is. I think when they named the song Triad, they're hinting, hey, this is supposed to be listened to together. Mm-hmm. So that's why, everybody's like, it's called the disposition, reflection, triad. So I think it's supposed to be listened to together. But like, I feel like the triad is like the body, the soul, and the spirit, like operating in unison. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I also think it was telling the story of the record from start to finish. Like all the different closed, palm muted stuff, and then the open stuff, and like the going back and forth between being closed and open, closed and open, and then and spiraling and all that stuff. Like I feel like it was telling the story of the record from the beginning to the end.
Where was Ticks and Leeches?
Well, it wasn't there because it doesn't belong there. You know what I mean?
Word.
Like, it completely didn't belong there. I liked what did you think of like the tribal drumming that started in the disco?
Ooh, I liked it.
Yeah, what do you think was going on there? Like, what was going on for you?
Oh, I was just like, because like everybody has assumptions, I guess, of where they think that they originated, and I feel like I have like tribal whatever in my roots, because that's in my family on both sides. So should I say that again?
No, go for it.
Okay. So anyway,
Why are you being weird? Like, you feel weird about saying you have tribal?
Oh, yeah, because one time I said it and you're like, where? And you're like, pinky toe. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know what you think that I am.
When you said you were Native American. Or whatever.
Yeah, I have it on both sides of my family, so.
So you're a Native American.
I didn't say I was a full-blooded Indian, but.
I'm a West Indian. Jamaica, West Indies, right? So we're both West Indian. Or Indian. Sure. Okay, so like.
Because how I love like the thought of like, I love the thought of like unity and being one with things, and like and those are things you're not supposed to say. I was never, nobody, you couldn't say one with anything. Like, you can't say that. That sounds like all of that, like, new agey bad stuff. You know what I'm saying? You can't say oneness. You can't talk about that completion with, you can only talk about completion with God, but not any of the rest of his creation. You know what I'm saying?
Nature in the world.
Right.
You're
and so, like, as I age,
disconnected.
like, I just love the concept of, I was walking with the girls in the woods, and they were like, can we take our shoes off? And I was like, honestly, I've heard, and I haven't done, like, in-depth research, but I've heard that, like, how your hands and your body, like, is always, like, soaking stuff in. That's why you put lotion on your hands, and all of a sudden the lotion's gone and, like, soaked into your body. And so your feet are constantly, like, soaking stuff in, like, so when you're wearing your shoes and you've got, like, all the toxins in your shoes because it's made from man-made materials, your body's soaking that in. So it's, like, healthy for you to take your shoes off and walk barefoot through the grass because there's minerals in the earth. And your body soaks in those minerals when you're walking around barefoot. So it's like healthy and good for you. And it feels good, like if you can get past like the ick factor of being dirty or whatever. But like it's healthy and it's good. So I just like thinking about like, with the tribal sounds and stuff, and like they understood a lot of it. And I talk about this a lot. Like I love the oneness that they had with their environment or what I hear that they had. I mean, I wasn't there to experience it or whatever, but when they would kill the game, they would use everything that was there, and they would have like a spiritual moment with the animal. Like it wasn't just, and I love that stuff. I love like having an appreciation for everything around you. And what I understand like the Native Americans to be is they had a real understanding of like Mother Earth, you know what I mean? And even calling the earth their mother, is a way of like loving the earth that God created and stuff, but we can't say Mother Earth, like, cause that's that,
right.
You know what I mean? But
right.
So when that was happening, I just, like just picturing like just being in that environment, there's a fire going and people are around, and like, I love the scenes like in movies and stuff where you see them like experiencing the fire thing, like the village all together, and then somebody's beating on the drum over there, and then all of a sudden it starts this dance around the fire, and like I think that some of it was probably very spiritual, but I think some of it was connecting with each other and connecting. I just I mean, I'm sure they had their problems too. I'm not trying to paint it like it's a perfect wholesome picture, but I mean the tribes I think were killing each other and stuff.
Sure. I mean human sinfulness.
Human sinfulness, yeah, nature was in there,
but yeah, there's like the simplicity of, because none of us have really progressed, like none of us have really invented new spirituality. Like with all of our technology and all this shit, like at the end of the day, somebody sent me something and it was kind of hilarious, but at the same time I basically said, oh yeah, and he showed a map of the world,
yeah,
and then he showed this little circle and he goes, all of the Abrahamics came from this little dot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like,
yeah,
we're technologically advanced. We've got a very high-tech machine here, and like most of the world is rooted in these ancient, wisdoms about the body, the soul, and the spirit, and all the shit that he was talking about. Even the Kabbalistic stuff, which is interesting because even the Kabbalah stuff is rooted in Judaism. Mm-hmm. Kabbalah is a cultic form of Judaism, and it's a combination of Judaism with other things. So it's kind of like going back to the ancient sort of like, this is where we all came from. Mm-hmm. I was listening to Joe Rogan and talking to Joe Rogan, not talking to Joe Rogan, hey Joe Rogan, but like hearing him talk about things like DMT and all this stuff and mushrooms and like all this, but it's all ancient shit. Mm-hmm. Like it's all stuff from like back in the day. Like none of us have really successfully invented a new spirituality.
Right.
Scientology attempts to do it, but it's so, I mean, to me, that's like the evidence that if it's new, it's stupid because it's so dumb. No, seriously, like no disrespect to
new, it's stupid. No
disrespect. Like I don't believe like in the Gaia thing that the Earth is like a sentient being that is our mother and all this stuff, but like I can see the logic behind it. Mm-hmm. I can see the logic behind sun worship, body thetans and all that shit. I don't see it. That's the Scientology. Xenu,
yeah, I remember when we were watching all that stuff on it.
No. But anyway, my point is like it just brought us back to like these were our origins, and like no matter how far we progress, like. And it's true, like I was around the fire too, and it was a village, and it was pretty funny because, we've named the thing the village because we've got that like yearning of, wanting that type of simplicity. And I'm
Yes.
like, oh, I'm there, and Sori's there, and the kids are there, and Charlie's playing with the girls, and friggin', you and Carmen are having some conversation, and me and Dan are over here, and me and Peter are arguing about something, and Khaled is out there, like, cooking something in the fire, halal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's all, Mark is like, we're like, put down the laptop, Mark. Like, everybody's like around the fire, and it's just like whoa, humanity. And he said something in the thing where he talked about, like, we're all one mind, which I think it's probably like a solipsist idea. Like, there's this idea that, like, all, and you listen to it with I don't know if you heard it, you were probably asleep because it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, but on one of these people's DMT trips, like, they just made this discovery that, like, all consciousness is one singularity of consciousness.
Yeah, no, I heard that part.
And
I kind of feel like that, like.
yeah, so then I stopped and I said, okay, this is solipsism. Like, there's, like, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and, like, we're all, like, one consciousness, and every sentient being that, like, can think is like. And so what happens is when you put your ego in front of everything, like, you're fucking with the collective consciousness. You know what I mean? I'm not sure where I land on that, but it's an interesting idea, because now when you're talking about crucifying your ego, right?
There's a reason.
Now, like, there's a whole bunch of shit at stake for crucifying your ego, because now you're fucking with the collective consciousness. It's not just you. Like, you're fucking us all up now. Like, so you got it before we notice, and that you kind of caught that during the Lateralis record, where he would talk in the singular, and then he switched to we. And I think that's where he's going, because he's like, crucify the ego, leave behind this place of negative, blind, and cynical, and you will come to find that we are all one mind.
Did he say at the beginning, he says, before I pine away,
Right.
and at the end he's saying,
We.
before we pine away.
Right, so it's kind of like the collective consciousness thing, and negative, we're the grudge like a crown of negativity, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, it comes around full circle, because these are pretty sure these are the last lyrics, right? Yeah, because it's in reflection. And so, like, it's interesting. It's like reflection. It's like looking at yourself. But I think what he's saying is, when I say I in this song, in all the songs or whatever, I'm talking about you. Like, I am a reflection of you, because we're both sharing the same collective consciousness.
Right. Well, it's that thing. You shoot when you look in your own chest is bleeding.
Right. You shoot someone, you shoot yourself. And I think that's an interesting idea, and I'm not particularly sure that we all share the same collective consciousness. Although I do, things like every major society having some sort of a flood story, right? And I've said things like, that's all in our collective consciousness, an idea that there was some sort of catastrophe that happened. It's undeniable when you look at it from an anthropological perspective, but it's just one example of, like, a collective. Like, you got tribes in North America and China and the A&E all saying a very similar thing. Bad catastrophe, somebody had to find a way to survive this extreme catastrophe, and we made it, and blah. And these guys all didn't talk to each other.
Right.
But there's, like, a collective consciousness happening. What were you going to say? Oh.
You know how that goes.
Crucify the ego.
I know what it was. That verse that says, that then, like, the all in all, and then he'll be all in all.
So that God may be all in all, yeah.
You think that has anything to do with it? Tell the nice people what I'm talking about. I'm being too big.
that was the thing in Ephesians, and it's basically that, you had all these humanities. You had Jews, and you had these, and you had that, and it's like there was animus between the Jews and the non-Jews, and he talks about Jesus coming so that he's a savior of all of us, and then all of us become one in Jesus, so that God would be all in all. So it's like all of humanity, which all of our consciousness would be permeated with God, and in that permeation of Godhood, we're all thinking the same thing. Not in the sense of uniformity as in everybody's thinking the same thing and believing the same thing and acting the same way and walking, talking the same way. But unity in the sense of we're all one, in the sense of we're all trying to dig deeper and deeper into the divine. And God being all in all would be, God would be everything in your body, your soul, your spirit, your intention, your mind, your will, your emotions, your dreams, your everything, right? And then, like, what if you had an entire humanity that was all going in that one direction and it was consumed by that, right? So so that's the thing. It's like, crucify the ego before it's too late, right? Like, and it's such an interesting idea when you think to yourself, okay, ego is usually associated with it's always a negative connotation, right? And so the crazy thing is that we have a God who, like, we could say literally did that, right? Crucify the ego, because, you know, if you know, Philippians chapter 2, your attitude should be that of Christ, who being in very nature God did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, right? But you know, he became obedient and made himself nothing, which is, you know, one of the things that happened. He had to crucify the ego. It's like, imagine if you were like a creator, like you created everything, and then you're being killed and mocked by your creation. Like, on the one hand, like, as a man, he's like being crucified. On the other hand, he's like holding the atoms of all these bastards together as they're killing him.
I know, it's crazy.
And like not responding to all the you know, and all he has to do is just. But so the idea of like crucifying the ego is such a crazy idea, because it's like that word usage, crucify, like, why would you use that word? You know, like, it's such a crazy, kill the ego, blow it up, stab it, you know, whatever. Why crucify it? But for me, it's like, you know, when I think about my ego and all the shit that gets fucked up because the ego is so powerful, and then, you know, for our particular faith tradition, it's like, we of all people should be like, whoa, we definitely need to like crucify the ego. Like, how could we not? Because like, we've got a God who crucified the ego, which is another reason why I'm like, there's no way we could have made it.
Right. Nobody would.
You can't make up this religion.
Say that.
But that's such a good line. Before it's too late. I think that's so. Do you think there's people that go that far deep into the worship of the ego that they can't turn back? Because like, it looks like that's what he's saying. Before it's too late.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's what when he said, before it's too late, and leave behind this place so negative and blind and cynical, I just thought, like, if we don't crucify the ego and find a way to stop doing what we're doing, we're gonna blow ourselves into oblivion. You know what I mean? Like, because if you just keep feeding this, like, you hit me in the eye, I'm gonna hit you in the eye, you did this to me, I'm gonna do something worse to you, like, the whole world is gonna burn. Like, you literally can't live forever in that sort of environment. If we don't put aside the negativity, the blindness, and the cynical attitudes that we have, and the hatred that we have toward one another, then the whole thing is gonna go to shit, you know? So that's what I was seeing when he said, before it's too late. Like, we have to change our mindsets. And the way is to crucify the ego, because if somebody punches you in your eye, you want to fight back. You want to even the score. And the fact that you're not, like, you have to crucify your ego to be able to not do that, and to make, like, you know, it says, blessed are the peacemakers. You know, like, we're supposed to be people that promote peace and help brothers not fight with each other, people not fight with each other. But I don't know, but we have to crucify our ego to be able to move forward, because there's so much. I mean, even if you just look at the, you know, and it's probably too political for people, but if you just look at the black to white struggle, and like, you know, like, if you talk about how, you know, black people are getting shot in their car when they didn't even do anything, and the racism that goes on, and then white people don't, well, everybody's gonna have to let go of something, you know. You guys have to let go of what happened, we have to let go of, there's so much that has to be let go of, and it's hard to do it, especially when, you know, and even part of that, I think, is just really being able to recognize and have compassion on other people in a situation that's not like yours, and really be able to see where people are coming from and understand, and not being closed-minded to actually what's really going on in the world around you. Take an honest look at it, and then start, you know, making positive changes toward that.
Yeah, and I, like I said, my perspective on the world, especially when you look at the lesson of the Lucifer character, because the original sin was an act of the ego, right? And so an act of pride. You're going to exalt yourself above God, So like I think there's a lesson there, right? Like the root of the what makes the shadow self, as Jung and Peterson would talk about a lot. What makes the shadow self dark is the ego, and the ego's desire to be fed and exalted above everyone, and so like it's crazy to me the level of insight that this guy has, and the level of enlightenment that to end the record, let the light touch you so that the words spill through, because that's. What if there was a way to enlighten the shadow self so that, because it's crazy, it's like, well, especially when Jung and Peterson talk about it, it's like the shadow self is like this thing over here, or it's behind you, it's not really like you, like it's a part of you that's split off, and like the unity of being able to bring all that back together in light, I think is where he's going. And it's like this song like runs the risk of being preachy.
I thought the same thing.
But
maybe because he talks about the moon, he can get away with it.
I don't know, because look what the moon says. The moon tells him a secret. What's the secret? The light is not my own.
I never saw that part. Where's Maynard going?
I think, it's probably some combination of Thelema, some Kabbalah, some Eastern mysticism, and his mom's Christianity all mishmashed into one. You know what I mean? Because there's a million light reflections that pass over me. Its source is bright and endless. The Ein Sof? The Ein Sof was limitless light. Right. So, in the Mudvayne song is made reference to the Ein Sof. And here, he's talking about the source of light being bright and endless, which is the same, it's literally the same. He's talking about the Ein Sof there, the limitless light. And notice, she resuscitates the hopeless. Remember, we were talking about Shekinah in Kabbalah. Shekinah is the glory of God, but it's in the feminine. So it's like, it's crazy. But it's also interesting, I think, subliminally or sub-spiritually, he's talking about his mom. Without her, we're lifeless satellites drifting.
Aww.
And I think his mother, and remember in 10,000 Days, he was talking about shine your light or whatever.
Yes.
And his mother was like the moon. Right? In the darkest moments, in my feeble weeping, the moon tells me a secret. And I think that's his mom. And,
I bet you're right.
And full and bright as I am, she was full of faith. And the light is not my own. But it's really cool that we listen to 10,000 Days, because he did not 10,000 Days, not the whole record, but we listened to Wings for Marie, and 10,000 Days. That's right. That's the name of the song. And he talks about she had this light and she was shining this light, but she was the moon. She's not the source of the light. And that's what she would tell him, right?
Oh yeah.
And then she's basically saying she got her light from another source. But then he's saying without her,
That's interesting, because when you look at the situation where she was in so much pain, and she was in the situation, and he was upset that God would put her in that situation, but the very fact that she was able to remain strong in that situation is because God was constantly funneling his strength to her, just like the light. The moon is dependent on God's light to be able to light it out. So I wonder,
Yeah. And as I pull my head out, I am without one doubt you want to peer down here. Survey my narcissism. That's a very, 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 very self-reflective thing there. He's a narcissist, and a lot of his pain was located in his narcissism. Go ahead.
You think he's a narcissist?
He said that.
Yeah, but do you think that he is? I mean, how can a narcissist write all the stuff he's written?
Well, I think that he's a recovering narcissist. I think it's just I think there's a comorbidity with being a rock star and being a narcissist. How could you not be?
Wait,
I mean, seriously.
isn't a narcissist somebody who, like, they're very self-focused and they will destroy everybody around them?
Well, they can destroy everybody around them, but it depends on the circumstances, right? So, like, if they have an infinite amount of resources and all the other things, like...
When he was singing "Fuck Your God," he did kind of sound like...
Well, I mean, but he's a rock star.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not very hard on him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how can you not be a narcissist if you're a rock star?
Wow.
You know, but
then he says, I must crucify the ego before it's too late.
But here's the thing, though. How many of these guys will say that, survey my narcissism?
No. It's the first time I've heard of it.
That is a lot of self-awareness and a lot of humility, and then he talks about crucifying the ego. What's really cool, though, is he talks about all of us doing it. Mm-hmm. You know, because it's like, it's easy to look at him and go, oh, yeah, you're a rock star.
Yeah.
But he's saying, I'm a reflect. It's called reflection. So it's like, yeah, he's self-reflecting, but he's also like, you know, I'm a reflection of you, dum-dum. What did you think about as I pull my head out?
Well, hold on. When we think about it, like, it's easy to say, oh, he thinks that, you know, as you say, like a rock star, how everything is a lot about them. But, like, even the way that we go about our day, like, sometimes stuff that makes me really angry, if I stop and I think about why it makes me so angry, I'm like, I hate it if somebody, like, cuts me in a line. That really annoys me, because I'm like, who do you think that you are?
Right.
You know what I mean? But then it's like, well, who do I think that I am? Like, why do I think that I shouldn't be cut? Like, why does that make me whatever? You know what I mean? Like, but that means that I believe something, like, isn't there some...
Well, yeah, some people would say you're grasping at straws, but, like, think about it. Like, what if that person needs to be home for a certain reason?
Yeah,
Is there a reason that they're doing that? Is that, you know, do they need to get home because somebody's sick? Are they buying something because somebody's sick? Or you know, like, there's millions of reasons, but you immediately think about the affront to yourself instead of why the other person's doing it.
Like, I pulled up to the gas station, and I, like, pulled into the spot, like, seconds before this other lady did. So I was already at the pump. And then she got really mad at me because I had the spot. Well, she had a little car, and it was easier for her to move around, and I have an SUV. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to stay where I'm at, you know? And then, like, she was all angry at me, and I was like, geez, old lady, you know, as she went her way. And then I thought, and I said to myself, why I was here first, like, I pulled in first. And then I thought, well, why does that give me the right to be here just because I got here first? Like, do I now own the pump because I was seconds before her? Like, where did this come up with? Like, where did we come up with this?
Social contract.
Yeah, so that way I can feel like it's okay.
You're justified.
I'm justified. I was here 2 seconds before this lady.
Yeah.
Who knows what held her up? Like, maybe some horrible event was holding her up.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm...
And of course, it's.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I completely. You know, and then social media, right, is like a. Yeah, somebody said one time, like, you guys are a bunch of losers. Why do you think anybody's even interested in your opinions on other people's music? And I said, thank you for watching. Meaning, you obviously were dumb. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, it is kind of a strange exercise in ego to shoot that first video. Because there's so many assumptions that go into that.
That's so true.
Like, I'm going to talk about Slipknot, and Sori's going to talk about Slipknot, and people are going to look at us. They're going to want to watch us. You know what I mean? Like, now that the community is getting to know us and we get to talk to people, now there's a reason.
Right, but before they knew us.
It's an actual exercise in ego to have that type of confidence that people are going to look at what you have to say.
That's true.
So, like, when he goes and says that, instead of, like, reflecting on it and going, oh, shit, that's a good point, I was like, well, you watched it, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with you? Like,
yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So it's like, whoa, like, social media, like, will really, like mess with you if you don't, like, learn the lessons that you're supposed to learn from it, which is, you know. Yeah, this is a good song. What did you think of the line,
and as I pull my head out? I would have just thought, like, that he was pulling himself out of those mindsets.
Mm-hmm. My self-indulgent, pitiful hole. That's such a very... He's so insightful.
Self-indulgent, pitiful hole. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We say that to the youngest all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're crying because of your ego.
Mm-hmm.
You hurt somebody. completely fine. Soon as you get punished, soon as you're in timeout, you're crying.
Right.
Because of your ego.
Right. No, it's true.
It's a lot of even people's...
You broke your sister's whatever. Not a tear.
Yeah, not a tear.
Not a one.
You're not
You
going
go
on a
in
ride.
for your...
Yeah, ego. Yeah, that's it. And like a lot of people's like pity and self-pity is rooted in ego.
Yeah.
Like a lot. I mean, think about that. Like that's fucking challenging. Like, okay, like you know, and I think it's really good of him because like really, like when you're in a situation like he is with his mom, like he becomes the victim when in reality, he's a rock star that gets to travel all over the fucking world. Dude, your mom is the victim, not you. You know what I mean? Like, it's terrible, and like I said, I can relate to him about the mom situation, but, like, I think he was coming to a realization that, man, and not just my mom, but, like, a lot of times when I feel sorry for myself, you gotta kind of run that check, be like, how much of this is a exercise of your own ego? You're just upset because of your ego. You're not really upset because, like, the actual truth of what happened. It's just you're just indulging in another exercise of the ego. You know, it's weird. It's a deceptive thing, you know.
Yeah. So true.
But you know, that's why it's called reflection. Mm-hmm. When you're talking about self-awareness, like I just think, listen to this record over and over and over again, and you'll get to some self-reflection.
Is there a hidden track in here that we're?
Yeah, it's the one where he's dealing with the alien. We'll talk about it in a second. It's the Art Bell one. Mention this to me. Mention something. Mention anything. Watch the weather change. What was your take on that?
And I don't even think I'm right, but the only thing that I was thinking was, you know, like when you go to the store and people say, "How's the weather out there?" You know, like just talking about like, because you don't really know them and they don't really know you, so it's just like talking about the weather. But then I was like, no, that can't be what he's saying. Like you know, yeah. That's all I thought of, just when people talk about the weather. I always think that it's weird when people talk about the weather because, like, they don't know you and you don't know them, and so they're trying to strike up a conversation with you, and so they talk about the weather. Like, my life-proof box broke on my phone, and so I had to call and get, like, another one. And, like, they must tell these people
free commercial for life-proof.
Yeah.
Sponsor us.
Yep.
What ball?
If you buy your first one, then you get your second one or third or fourth or eighth, like me, for only $5 each time. Just for shipping costs.
So you were doing the life proof.
Anyway, so yeah, I was getting this life-proof box, and like, I've had to call a number of times because some tragic thing always happens to my case. And like, they always ask, they must tell them, like, talk to them and make them feel like whatever, which I don't like that. I just want to get my stuff done and get off the phone.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're talking to me about what's the weather like, where are you from, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, it's such a weird conversation because we're, like, they're, like, trying to be friendly and trying to make, like, a connection with you, but you have zero connection with this person, and all you can hear is it's just weird, I think. I just think it's bizarre. So, anyway, like, that's all I thought of, and I'm sure it has nothing to do with it, but that's what I thought of.
I mean, I don't know, but I do think that, like, he is, it might be sitting with his mom.
Well, when the weather changes and that season's changing, you know what I mean? Watch the weather change.
Yeah, but I think he's sitting with his mom, and he wants his mom
He just wants her
to say something, but she can't. All he can do is sit with her and watch the weather change, you know, watch seasons change. But I also think it's symbolic of his changing because it goes right into the reflection.
Yeah.
Because one of the benefits of being with a person who can't speak is that it makes you reflect. Mm-hmm. You know, so because her disposition is such that she can't talk very well or at all, I don't think, he just has to kind of sit there and basically watch time pass with her, and that's one of the ways that you measure time, right? One of the arbitrary ways we measure time is the seasonal changes. But I also think the weather changing is him going through all those emotions that he went through and the growth that he had, and like really getting to that point of maturity where he could have that reflection in the next song. So I think that little interlude was important. You know, because it's like, whoa. Especially it's like, you know, it's right after Lateralis. Where it's interesting because Lateralis is like, boom, like, whoa, boom. And like you're going into space and you're swinging on a spiral and you're fucking doing a little thing from star to star. and then boom, he's just sitting there like
Yeah.
silent. Say anything to me. Watch the weather change, and it goes back to
reality.
here's reality. And so swinging on the spiral is not necessarily like going off into space, but it's like really having that moment of real deep self-reflection and actual growth. You know, that's the challenge.
Yep.
You know, that's the meaning of the record. This is an unbelievable record. It's unbelievable. It's a 9.8 for me. You know why I didn't get a 10?
Are we not doing the last one?
We will, but I want to rate the record before we go to that, because it's just silliness.
Oh, I mean, I'm giving it a 10 because I just loved it all. See,
The Ticks and Leeches thing is too much for me.
It didn't fit, but I like the song because, you know, I'm still in that immature phase, so I liked it. Like, okay, you're gonna push me and you're not gonna do my label because I didn't give you. Well, here, take your fucking song.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to forgive him for Ticks and Leeches. It's probably a 10.
It's a 10.
I've never. Let me see.
So you're a Tool guy, I guess.
Let me see.
Are you a Tool guy?
We'll have to listen to the first Korn record. I don't know. This is an unbelievable record.
Mr. Vin.
I've never heard anything like this before in my life. Front to back is just a fucking amazing record. Amazing, amazing, amazing record.
Are you a Tool guy?
I have to give it a 10.
Are you a Tool guy?
I'll forgive him for Ticks and Leeches.
Are you a Tool guy?
Gotta be a 10. Am I a Tool guy? I thought The Pot was a stupid song. I thought it was terrible.
So one song, you're gonna be not a Tool guy because of one friggin' song?
Well, I'm just saying I'm not joining the cult.
You just listened to an entire album and liked it start to finish.
This might be my ego talking.
I think so.
I just feel like I can't say that.
Are you a Tool guy?
They're the same band that did The Pot. Who are you? You know, I can't do that. But this is a fucking journey.
What? Are you a Korn guy? Are you a Slipknot guy? I mean, what are you?
Korn will always have a special place in my heart.
So you like every single one of their songs?
Korn. Well, on the Follow the Leader record, there was not one
The Pot is not on this record.
No, I agree. No, this record, I haven't heard a rock record like this in my entire life. And I feel like this is the best record that I have heard probably in the last 15 years.
You heard it here first.
Without a close second. Without a close second. Like, this is like the difference between, like, you know, it's a crazy, 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 crazy record. Unbelievable record. Unbelievable record. Wow. Shocking. Okay, all right. So let's listen to the. What do you you give the record a 10?
Mm-hmm. I can't even see it.
Loot.
Because it's flipped in there. It says Tool.
Oh.
You idiot.
Did you call me an Egypt?
You idiot.
You idiot.
You idiot. Dumb butt.
You idiot, dumb butt.
It's getting too
You're
late.
Hilarious.
It's
4 o'clock in the
a.m.
morning. Yeah, we gotta wake up.
We're gonna
tomorrow
leave in a
4
few hours.
That's your affair. Okay. Yeah, it's an unbelievable record. Musicianship is great. I just feel like Maine are just that drummer, man, and that bassist.
He's good.
The drummer is insane. Like the drummer.
I hope we get to see them live at some point.
That drummer, the bassist, like the interplay between the drums and the bass was insane. The way that the guitarist knew, that guy knows exactly when to open up the song and when to close it. Like, he knows, like, all right, we're going, okay, boom, we're going open, we're going close. And it's just like,
but
then that guy, like, I don't know what they call it. I think they call it like polyrhythmic or something like that. Like he's playing like different beats at the same time.
Gosh,
he's playing something else.
Incredible.
But like, again, like one of the problems I have with like these prog metal bands or whatever, it's like we know that your talent, you know, it's like we just talked to somebody, you know, in a band, and you know, she was talking about like, oh, okay, this is just when you're gonna go show off that you're a badass guitarist, great. But like this drummer is not doing that.
Yeah.
Like the shit that he is doing like makes the song. Like he's not, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this polyrhythmic blah 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 to show off. Like no, like it goes with the song. Like that's That's the difference. Like, all these guys know when to pull back and they know when to let loose, and the guitarist knows when to... He's like, you know, if you're a guitarist and you're, like, trying to master your craft, like, you want to go, you want your little spotlight. Like, he doesn't do that. Like, he keeps it subtle because Maynard's voice is so strong.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think that...
Did you say that there was some people that they couldn't handle all the...
Yeah, I think the original guitarist, the original bassist or whatever, he's like, it's too much math and too much... You know, I just want to do rock and roll, man. I just want to do rock and roll. What the hell is this shit? But, and I get it. I'd probably be the same way. But,
no, you would play over and over until you got it right. I would be out. See, that's too many times. I'm not doing this.
Unbelievable.